for the 9th. So chapter 9 looked at the assessment procedure and how you are marked. By way of table of contents, we're looking at the purpose of assessing your script. Normally in other papers like CR, AAA, ATAX, and SFM, you will see the marks by the side, but case study didn't show you the marks. So in the case study text, there's a special chapter dedicated to that, showing us that this is the mark for this is what you write to end this and that. So that's what we're looking at graphically, yes, and that is in chapter 9, the assessment procedure. So we look at the purpose of this chapter and the competency-based assessment in Unit 1 and marks allocation. Unit 2 will be looking at the marking key. There's a key they use to mark. Then Unit 3 will be looking at marks within skill boxes. So you need to display some skills to earn the marks for that paper. Also, Unit 4, we're looking at constructing the marking key. And Unit 5, an example of the marking key. Then Unit 6, how grades are awarded. Look at how grades are awarded. Unit 7, how is numerical work awarded, the calculations, your appendices. How do they reward that aspect? Then Unit 8, we'll be looking at what is an appropriate grade profile. Grade profile meaning what do you do to earn or what do you write to earn the appropriate and highest grade. So we'll be looking at that in Unit 8. Then Unit 9 will be looking at quality versus quantity. Is it how much you write or how well and how good you write? So we'll be looking at that. And finally, we'll be focusing on the exams, on the assessment procedure, how to apply what is necessary to pass the case study exams. So what is the purpose, the first part of this exam, of the assessment procedure? The purpose is you should be able to, after we've spoken to this chapter, understand the assessment procedure in the case study exams. Very important. You should also understand the marking key and how this is used in the assessment of the case study. Because if you understand the marks and the allocation, you'll be able to channel your energy and make sure you hit the nail on the head. Very important. Okay, so Unit 1, we're looking at the competency-based assessment. So there's a way you are assessed and marks are allocated. And by a very brief way of speaking to Unit 1, we'll be looking at the competency-based assessment and mark allocation. This is very, very important. Okay, so the ICAN Case Study exam uses competency-based assessment. When we speak to competency-based assessment, there are some criteria that you need to understand, and that's what the competency-based assessment means. There are criteria you need to fulfill or achieve to be able to be competent. I'll be looking at that subsequently. So that focuses on the evidence of your display of professional skills. So you're displaying professional skills will be assessed, and that determines your competency. So the competency starts with generic competencies tailored to specific case study requirements. And this is very important. So the assessed skills listed combined with case study requirements that is given to you in the exam creates a tailored list for each exam. So it's very important that embedded in the case study text are the competencies you need to display. And we'll be speaking to that graphically as we move on in other units so that you can understand within the context of the case study exams, the specific requirements and how to address them is very important. So your skills and the display of them is to be tailored towards those requirements for you to be able to ace the exams. So we'll be speaking to the competency and how you are assessed subsequently. So it's very important to understand that the case study exams uses your competency to assess you. This is key. Okay, so that's just a brief introduction of this. Let's move to the marking key, Unit 2. What is the marking key? And please feel free to interject as usual if you have any question or an observation you need to put through closely. So please feel free as usual to interject and bring it to the fore. All right, so the marking key, actually, you are objectively assessed based on the marking key during the case study exams. You are marked based on the requirements, and the requirements have keys that you need to be able to unlock keys are very important. You don't get to a door and the door to your house and you begin to pray or you begin to speak to the door. No, you just bring your key and you open. And that's what case study is about. If you understand the marking key, you'll be able to channel your energy and write towards that direction to be able to earn those marks. So the mark allocation are for two main requirements to get those marks. And the marks are awarded based on your integrative and multidisciplinary skills. And this includes the appendix. So the appendix forms the foundation for what you're supposed to write. So how you are able to analyze, integrate multidisciplines and multiple areas tested in the case study exams is what is the key to passing the case study. So the skills assessment box, which is SABs, we have 8 boxes, and I've displayed that, or I've showed you in the past or in the mock exams, and several past questions we've treated on my YouTube channel. And if you look at the playlist area of the YouTube channel for past questions, you'll see that I use graphically this marking key. And the 8 boxes are very important. So the first box, like I used to say, is the assesses how you use data and information, number 1, in the case study. The second box is he assesses how you use professional tools, your ratios, models, performance and strategic management tools. And that's the second box. The third box is he assesses how you display analytical skills. That's the third box. And the fourth box, he assesses how you identify issues and options. And this fifth box, he assesses your professional skills and how you treat ethical issues. And number 6, he evaluates your judgment and skillful way of judging the case scenario. So those are the 6 boxes. And finally, number 7, or sorry, come to the last, number 7, your conclusion and your recommendation. So you see those 8 boxes are for each requirement. So requirement 1, 8 boxes, and requirement 2, 8 boxes. And if you look at my headers and subheaders in my report, they follow this skill assessment box. And I'm very keen in displaying that. That's not the only way. There's a way you could write that could earn you the marks. But then this skill assessment box, if you follow them, you should be able to ace the case study exam very seamlessly. Some candidates find my method or my pattern very, very challenging. But then if you practice with my pattern, and it's not even my pattern, it's the case study pattern, because these slides and this teaching is directly from the case study text. So if the examiner says use 8 boxes with headers and subheaders, I think it's wisdom for students to employ and deploy that to be able to ace the exams very, very seamlessly. So 8 boxes. I'll come again.
Sir,
yeah. Yes,
okay,
please.
sorry.
Please go ahead. Yes, please go ahead.
Going back to BP fashions.
Yes, please.
The report you sent.
Yes, please.
Followed the format, right?
Exactly. The 8 boxes. So yes, the skill assessment box. Yeah.
Actually noticed a little slight difference from what I did.
Oh, okay.
Like, no, don't worry. It's fine. I'll just follow through.
You didn't submit your scripts for assessment and marking, so I don't know. You didn't submit.
I didn't actually. I didn't.
Yeah. So please, you can now employ that in.
But I was using it to compare. Yes, I was actually using it to compare because that BP fashion is quite interesting.
Exactly. Very, very.
And I love that because I got stuck to some at some points. I couldn't go further. That was the delay actually. So I was now using that to compare and then rewrite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So please, mock exam 3 and 4. Sunday is your deadline. So please do that.
I'm on it. In fact.
Okay. Fantastic. That's good. Audit is this night though. So the audit is deadline this night. So you need to do it.
I'll try to finish up.
I can see Julie is back. Julie is around. Julie, welcome to the call. Nice to have you.
I forced you to the call.
Yes, she forced you today.
You know, I slept.
Yeah, I guess that's much. You must have been tired.
I don't. It just sleep that just took me. Doesn't tiredness, so sleep just quickly.
It's tiredness now.
Hey,
you've overworked yourself today, so you are definitely tired. It's not
probably
easy
piles
now.
of tiredness.
Exactly.
I think so. Well, it's okay. You have done a lot.
No. We are just in unit 2. We've not gone far. I think Aisha came around 9:12, 9:10, 9:12. So we've not gone far. We just did unit 1 and unit 2. So we just started actually. So you're on time.
I'm going to log into my system shortly. It's on my phone now. I don't like using my phone. When I just saw the time, immediately I logged into my phone quickly. So what is this? I
understand you're tired. Okay.
I'll log into my.
All right. That's fine. Yeah, you can log in. Okay. So yes. So we're talking about the marking key. So Aisha asked a question about the 8 boxes we spoke about. So I was saying that you need to integrate and display multidisciplinary skills during your report writing, which is very important. And inclusive of the appendix, there are 8 boxes you are assessed by. So I spoke to the 8 boxes of how you are assessed. And I said I use those 8 boxes as headers and subheaders to speak to the report. So that was what sprouted Aisha's contribution on how she integrates the same thing with her report. So I was speaking to the 8 boxes and I said that is the same pattern the examiner uses. So some people find my method quite tough because those headers and subheaders, some tutors will just say write. Don't put any headers or subheaders, just write. But then you can pass. I agree, you can pass with that. But then to be on the safer side, I think I like to use the examiner's pattern so that I can be safe. So if I follow those 8 boxes, I think it will be better for me. But then the choice is yours. You are the one at the battlefield. So yeah, so you are the one at the battlefield. It depends on your method. Whatever you practice with that works for you, please use it. I will teach what I believe is the best for you. So it's left for you to make your choice. Yeah, so if you decide to use the 8 boxes assessment skill box, fine. If you decide to use another method, but don't forget that 3 are very important out of those boxes for you to identify. Ethical issues, conclusions, and recommendations. Those 3 out of the 8. Yes, those 3 out of the 8 are non-negotiable. You have to identify them as headers. Very, very important. So the other 5, well, I think they are optional, but it now depends on your choice. So those are the 8 boxes. I'll be looking at them bit by bit. We'll speak to them, but we'll have to be very fast so that we can close by 10. So the integrative and multidisciplinary skills, looking at the boxes, 4 of the boxes is integrated for the whole document. So those 4 boxes is the pattern you should be able to understand for the whole document. So the first thing is your cover page, even though it's not on the screen, but essentially the most important significant item on your paper is your executive summary. So the executive summary assessment box has 5 boxes. So if you understand the boxes and how to follow them, approach them, you understand the whole report summarizing the responses to requirements 1 and 2. So the executive summary has 5 boxes and it includes requirement 1 and 2, and they have 25 marks. The total 25 skill boxes carries 25 marks in the paper. I will be explaining that subsequently. So typically the grade box allocation is like this. So for executive summary, you have 5. I will speak to that. So 5, we talk about your introduction, we talk about your method, we talk about requirement.
The whole executive summary has 5 marks.
No, not 5 marks, 5 boxes. We are looking at the marking key now. Yes.
Okay.
We're looking at the marking key. So executive summary is 20 marks, but we're looking at 5 boxes from introduction. You speak to requirement 1, then requirement 2. So there are 5 items. Once you've done your introduction, you speak to findings, you speak to requirement 1, you speak to requirement 2. So they have 5 boxes. Then requirement 1 has 8. Requirement 2 has 8 in the discursive element. Your overall paper has report, the general write-up. The report has about 2, then the overall paper has an appendix of 2. So you have a total box you are assessed on of 25 boxes. So follow me and I will explain this graphically, because the assessment development starts with the competencies you have to be displaying inherently in the case study exams, and you must tailor them towards the requirements. So speaking to executive summary, requirement 1, requirement 2, overall paper, your general report, and the appendices, we have 25 boxes. So follow me and I will explain them graphically. So that's essentially what the marking key speaks to, and it's very important you understand this format. If you understand this format, you'll be able to ace the exams very practically. So that will be the end of the marking key. Let's look at the marks within those skill boxes. Now, we've spoken to which boxes apply. We have 25 boxes. Let's speak to the marks, which is unit 3, the marks within those 25 skill boxes. I can see Rafiat has joined us. Rafiat, you're welcome. Nice to have you. Yesterday, we were trying to say hello, but...
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone.
You're welcome.
Good evening.
You're welcome. Good to have you. All right. So let's look at the mark within the skill boxes. So within every skill box, those 25 ones we spoke to, there will be a number of assessment criteria. It ranges from 4 to 8, which will be the basis for assessing candidates under each box. In Unit 5, we'll look at an example very graphically. So these boxes are relevant to the case given. So you need to align the case with these boxes. And the examiners, those that mark, select those relevant ones to ensure that the marking of successive cases is comparable to what you've done. So diet in, diet out, they look at what the examiners have marked and compare them to subsequent diets or previous diets to compare and see if the assessments are actually in line with what examiners are marking. So examiners are also being supervised and audited to ensure that fairness is employed during the case study exams marking. Now, candidates will only need to demonstrate 4 of these assessment criteria to achieve the maximum assessment marks for that specific box. So whatever you're writing, under whatever header, under whatever subheader or main header, you need to demonstrate at least 4 of these assessment criteria, which we'll be looking at, and they are specific to the competency in each box. So that's speaking to the mark within the skill boxes, and we'll be looking at them. We're just trying to speak to them little by little. So how do you construct this marking key? And that's what we'll be looking at in Unit 4. So examiners select required competencies and set specific criteria for assessment of each. What does that mean? The assessment criteria is set by the examiner and is graphically provided to every student to understand, so that you can write and tailor your answers towards those competencies. So the criteria include facts, technical and ethical knowledge. So you provide facts by discussion, provide technical and ethical knowledge. So technical knowledge means aligning your appendices or your numbers, calculations to discussive elements. That's displaying technical skills. Then ethical knowledge means identifying ethical issues, your professional skepticism in the case. This is very important. So this provides analysis output, implications of decisions made, employing your professional judgment, then providing implementable what do I use now? Summarized conclusions and implementable recommendations relevant to the case. Very important. So that's how you construct the marking key. You need to be able to understand the possible facts, technical competence, and the ethical knowledge of the case, so that it can sprout you to provide outputs with implications, professional judgments based on what you've written, and you come up with summarized conclusions actionable or implementable recommendations relevant to the case. So that's how you construct the marking key. So let's look at an example of the marking key, Unit 5. An example of the marking key. So in the CS exams, it requires us to challenge assumptions. We need to challenge assumptions and apply professional skepticism in providing information that has been given to us. For example, potential parties with vested interest are ethical issues, maybe related party transactions where the chairman of a company, a publicly listed company or a public interest company, issuing contracts to his wife or a relative. So this needs to be challenged. You bring out the ethical issue regarding this example I've provided, where there is vested interest culminating in personal interest above public interest. It's very important to point this out, and that's an example we could use to buttress this graphically. So the exam requirements may involve interacting components around the assessment of the current financial situation or information provided to you. With or without adjustments, you are to compare the past, forecast for the future, and also provide professional skepticism based on what you forecasted. And you are trying to speak to the numbers to see if those forecasts will culminate in actuals. So you are questioning, you are skeptical about those figures, and that's how you provide very good assessment. Also, evaluation of a current problem or proposal based on the financial information in the context of the options. So you look at benefits, you look at the cost-benefit analysis you provide, looking at some possible scenarios, you look at risks, and you also look at ethical considerations. So that's how you evaluate problems and proposals based on the context of the case, looking at requirement 1 and 2. Very important. Also, the marking key sections, for example, we have the executive summary, which is a snapshot in brief, 1 or 2 pages of your whole report. So the marking key sections in the executive summary, like we looked at the boxes, 5 of them. The requirement 1, possibly financial statement analysis or other related issues. Predominantly, he has always come up with financial statement analysis. Just few diets, he juxtaposed or changed them. So requirement 2 mostly predominantly is data analysis, financial data analysis, or other related issues. So we also look at the overall paper from the appendices and your communication criteria. Appendices are your numbers, number crunching and calculations tables, but you need to communicate that numbers into words. Very important. So the marking key extracts provided examples of criteria used by the examiner. So you need to include the boxes with 4 criteria where failure in any one leads to a grade drop. What does that mean? Failure to integrate your numbers into words or discussion will lead to your grade drop. Yes, please. Judy, go ahead. I can see you want to interject. Please feel free. Go ahead.
Like the case study format you sent earlier.
Yes, please.
You know, for requirement 1, you have number 1, data and information analysis and financial statements.
Exactly.
In this situation, are we going to give you this heading?
No. Thank you for that question. Don't give that.
Then you wrote. No. I've not finished that. Then you wrote 4 beside it. Then the other put professional tools, analysis of ratios calculated. Then the third one, analysis trend. You know, all these things. Are we going to put the heading like this? And what does this 4 mean? Good.
So speaking to those data and information, I said analysis of either financial information. Now, data and information is what the examiner uses to assess you, but you can't use that as a header. You're going to mark down. So you are using analysis. So that's like a synonym of using data and information. So you could just say analysis of information used or general overview, business overview. That 4 is, if you provide 4 discursive elements, it's 4 marks. That 4 you are saying is 4 marks.
Oh, see that 4 discursive, as in 4 discursive elements.
Exactly, culminating in 4 marks. So each discursive element is 1 mark each. That's what that means.
So we can now say analysis of financial statements for 1, analysis of ratios calculated, trend analysis, Issues and options. We can do that.
No. So for analysis of financial statements, you can say number 1, you discuss. Under analysis of financial statement, number 2, discuss, 3 lines. Analysis of financial statement, number 3, discuss, another 3 lines. Analysis of financial statements, number 4, discuss, another 3 lines. So let's say 3 lines times 4 is 12 lines. So you have 4 marks in the discussive aspect. But in the executive summary, you can just do one line since you're summarizing. So for that body, to earn 1 mark each, you can't just discuss a 1-line item. So for example, in the financial statement, you want to analyze revenue growth. So between 2023, 2024, 2025, if you're provided with that kind of financial statement, you want to talk about revenue growth from just the financial statement, not even your ratios calculated. You can just say revenue grew by blah, blah, blah in 2022, 2023, 2024. That's 1 mark you are picking. Then you want to look at cost of sales in analyzing the financial statement. You now say cost of sales grew as a result of revenue growth, blah, blah, blah. So you speak to that. So each component you discuss under analysis of financial statement, you need to provide commercially viable ones, 1, 1, 1, 1, which is 4. Discuss them and give 4 points. So you can't. I'm saying that you're not doing 1 under analysis of financial statement. Then in professional tools where you're discussing ratios or analyzing the ratios, you also discuss ratios 1. No. So each header you are seeing there is 4, 4, 4. So you should be able to talk about 4. We'll come to that to see how that speaks to the need to discuss 4 each. Yeah, I hope you got that.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Please feel free to interject. This is the crux of the matter, because if you know the marks, you'll be able to end them seamlessly. So let me go back to this point again. So the marking key extract provided examples of the criteria used by examiners. So when you use the boxes with the 4 criteria, you will not have issues dropping your points. That's what this slide is saying. So please make sure whatever you're discussing should be maximum of 4. And we'll be looking at why you should discuss 4 subsequently. So examples of the criteria within the boxes, you need to use data appropriately. So that's what Julie just asked me now. So the first header, use data appropriately. Using data and information, that's the first box. Data and information, use it appropriately. Number 2, identify issues and options. So normally number 2 comes with professional tools, but the examiner is using identifying issues as option, which is number 4 in my own order. But then using data appropriately, we also need to use issues and options, which I consider challenges and consideration. Then your professional tools are the ratios or the models or the performance or strategic management tools you use. Yes, please, Julie, please go ahead. Yeah, Julie, go ahead. I saw your hand. You're muted. Sorry if you're speaking.
Okay, I didn't know I was muted actually. Okay. Yeah, okay. That's why I don't like muting, because you might just forget you're muted, because I know there'll be no noise in the background for now. Yeah. So I was trying to say, maybe that's what you're even explaining now, like examples of all these things. Analysis of just an example, so that one will be well guided, because there are so many things to talk about and all these headings are quite confusing. So that one does not repeat everything in these different boxes, If you can give us examples of it.
Okay, fantastic. So aside having the mock exams and the script, you could also use the script to, after the class, I'll definitely give examples, but you could use the scripts to replicate, because I've used the format in several past questions I used to solve. So you can use the script to look at these examples. But I'll give you examples now. So for data and information, you are generally speaking to the financial statements provided. So you have not done any calculation. So in the first header, you want to look at the business performance. You could call it analysis of financial statements. You could call it business overview, general overview, business performance, whatever resonates with you, please use it. Any header that resonates with you, please use it. So using data appropriately, data and information appropriately, which is my first header, based on my recommendation. Now, from the financial statement, I want to take revenue that has been provided in the financials. There's no calculations. So for 3 years, revenue was 10, 15, 20 million for 3 years. 2020, 10 million. 2021, 25 million. 2022, 30 million. In using that data appropriately, I will speak to the fact that, number one, revenue grew for the 3 years. So in 2020, it was 20 million. 2021, it was 25 million. 2022, it was 30 million. So using that data and information, I'm saying that the company did well by growing year in, year out, showing a positive trajectory. Simple. You've explained using that data that was provided to you to get 1 mark. Then when I look at the cost of sales, using data and information as the header, number 2, I will now say cost of sales also grew, or if commendably the company had cost of sales for that same 3 years, 20 million. The next year it dropped to 15 million. The third year it dropped to 10 million. I'll be like, this is fantastic. Aside revenue growing, instead of cost to drive that revenue, cost was dropping. I'll be like, the company really did well to control cost. Despite the revenue spike for the 3 years, costs were driven down for those same 3 years. This is commendable management, and it shows positive cost savings, cost minimization of the company. So that's number 2. Then I look at gross profit. I'm not doing any calculations now. I'm just using data appropriately. I'll look at gross profit and say, from the gross profit, it grew for the 3 years. In the first year, gross profit was 5 million. Second year, 7 million. Third year, 10 million. It shows the company is on a positive growth strategy and management is doing well to maximize profit. And the fourth one, I can talk about operational expenses, admin, and distribution. So looking at the line of your performance statement, performance, the SCI, there are many things to talk about, more than 4. So you can use the data on that appropriately to speak to that. So you can see you have more than 4. If you're looking at revenue, cost of sales, gross profit, operational expenses, you go to depreciation, you go to profit before tax, profit, you have many to talk about. So pick 4 significant material ones and talk. So I hope you're okay with data and the use of data information appropriately before I go to the next one. Are you all right with that?
Perfectly, yes, sir.
Oh, fantastic.
So in other words, we are doing a summary of what you're about to be.
Exactly.
For that analysis of financial statement. Okay.
Yes. Excellent. Okay, so number 2, I'm glad you're grasping this concept. So number 2 is professional tools. You are using professional tools to speak to the ratios you've calculated. So for example, you use revenue to calculate which ratio now? Return on capital employed. Or you used income to calculate. So any of the ratios to calculate under the profitability area, you could use them as a tool. So in speaking to the tool, analysis of ratios used, or you want to use another header that resonates with you, but don't use professional tools as a header. So in speaking to the ratios, you could just take return on capital employed, gross profit margin, net profit margin, which other key, return on asset, return on equity is much more very good than return on asset. So those ratios that are key, you can speak to them under professional tools to say, okay, from the return on capital employed I've calculated, I've seen that the company has sufficient returns for this first, second, third year. And so you've employed professional tools to discuss the company aside the data and information you used in the first aspect. So this is very important. So the professional tools is speaking to your calculations in the ratio, and please reference them to the appendix. If you say return on capital employed is 13% for 2020, it grew to 15% in 2021, it moved to 18% in 2022, just say see appendix 1. That's a graphical example of how to apply professional tools and analyze your ratios. So you have so many ratios. If you're speaking across profitability, liquidity, long-term solvency, activity, and investment, under professional tools, you could just take one out of the 4 and talk about them, depending on what the examiner asks you in his requirement. So there are no requirements where they say you should do the 5 categories of ratio. No, the max he will tell you to do is 3. maybe profitability, liquidity, long-term solvency, or you say activity and profitability. There's no exams where he has tested all the 5 ratios. That would be very, very unreasonable of him. So in applying your professional tools, use that to speak to the ratios, and you have a lot of ratios to talk about. So you could match some ratios together to make your points very rich. And that's what this is all about. So that's number 2 header. And number 3 header is analytical skills. You are displaying your analytical skills. And I call that business trend performance, trend analysis, or whatever resonates with you, whatever header. So what are you speaking to here? You're looking at the trends in either the data and information in the financial statements. You are categorically speaking to how the trajectory between those 3 years, if it's 4 years, if it's 5 years in the financials, how they've done. Have they gone up or gone down? And speak to why they went up, what drove them up, what drove them down. And that's what you're doing in your analytical skills, which is, I call trend analysis, business performance analysis, the company's performance analysis. Whatever resonates with you, please use it as a header. There's no has and fast rule using my header in my examples. Yes, please go ahead.
So these are the findings. All these are the findings.
Yes, exactly.
Without necessarily writing findings.
Well, under each header, you can say general business performance findings or findings on data analysis. So whatever header you use, you can say key findings, but let the key findings drive you to something. Key findings of what? Is it the data and information? Is it professional tools? So if you say key findings on what? So please be specific. Key findings is a general statement. So whatever header you want to use, please let it align to one of the headers that the examiner understands. So you can't just say key findings and you start talking about ethical issues. That will not align. So let the key findings speak to a particular aspect that gives the examiner headway. So the purpose is to make your script easy to mark. So let the key findings speak to something directly. Yeah, so you can use it and answer your question. Yes, it's fine. You can use key findings.
So in other words, you don't necessarily have to use that word findings. You can just put all these headings, and then as long as you use your conclusion and recommendation at the end.
Exactly.
Is that it?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, son.
Yeah. So the key findings is good, but make sure it's aligning with any area you're speaking to directly. So I've spoken to professional tools. Number 3, I've spoken also to analytical skills. Then number 4 is issues and options, which I call challenges and consideration. So you spoke about repetition. Repetition does not matter if under each header, the repetition is graphically aligned or properly aligns. So for example, revenue was dipping for the 3 years. It's a challenge. Even though you've spoken to it under data and information, that revenue came down all through the years. You could under issues and options say revenue has been dipping, which is a challenge, of course, or it has been going up, which is a consideration, it should be enhanced. So depending on the context of the header, if you understand the header properly, you'll be able to understand your points and bring them there. So the essence is to pick your marks, not necessarily to show the examiner that I don't want to be repeating points. If those points under those headers comprehensively align with those headers, please repeat them. You'll see in my solution, if you read my solution very well, you see that I repeated a lot of things, but under those different headers. So data and information you spoke to as header 1, you could use those information too in issues and options. Which other ones are issues or options? You speak to them there, which I call challenges or considerations. So depending on the header, please feel free to repeat. Just change the words and speak to what the header is saying. And also your professional skepticism is ethical issue. That one is a must. If you decide not to use any of this format, ethical issues, I've sounded it, I've spoken to it over again, I've reiterated it, is a must. It must have a special header. So like Julie said, if you want to say key findings, you can just put semicolon, ethical issues. These are the key findings you did in this area, ethical issues. The financial statements are not audited, number 1. Number 2, the company is flaunting environmental laws. Number 3, the company is not paying taxes on time. Number 4, the inventory turnover shows that inventory is staying longer in the store, which could lead to obsolescence. All these are ethical issues, and ethical issues are areas you are professionally skeptical about. They may not necessarily be infringement on laws and regulations. They speak to critical matters. For example, trade creditors. Creditors are not being paid on time. It's above the threshold of 30, 45. Those are critical issues. They are ethical issues. There are also challenges and considerations. So whichever way you replicate them, you pick your mark. Be mark conscious. That's just the thing. Pick your marks right. You have a plethora of things to talk about. Pick your marks. And that's very important to speak to. And finally, you are looking at evaluation of your judgment, which I call skills displayed on risk assessment. Risk is the possibility of something going wrong, negative. And risk is also an opportunity to explore. We have positive, negative risk. So in evaluative skills and judgment, you're just looking at what possibly could go wrong and go right. It's almost like issues and options, but in another way, because in speaking to risk assessment, dangers or negative risks should be mitigated. Then opportunities, positive risks should be explored. And that's what you speak to in evaluative skills and judgment. But this is not really necessary anyway. But if you follow the skill boxes, you're just saying that, or this 6th skill box, you're just saying you want to pick your 4 marks very seamlessly. That's what it means. Then the conclusions and recommendations are pivotal, very important. So ethical issues, conclusions, recommendations must have separate header, and they should be 4-4. So having discussed 4 times 6, looking at the 6 main headers, you have 24 points. So pick 4 critical ones and conclude. Critical, material, significant ones, and conclude. You can't conclude with 24 points or 24 discursive elements. So conclude on 4 material ones and also recommend solutions to those conclusions. So the conclusion I used to say is a statement of the problem. Then the recommendations are the solutions to those problems with specifics in the discursive element. You see that if you're saying they should enhance revenue, how? Should they start a new product line? Should they sack the former management and bring in new management? Should they start new services? What should they do to solve those problems you've identified in the conclusion? So you can't just say revenue dipped, they should work on revenue. That is not a recommendation, it's not a solution. Cost is high. They need to bring down the cost. How? So in the discursive element, you need to be specific. You need to be smart. I used to speak that always. Smart, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So be smart in your recommendations, and both requirements are treated separately. So this same header, don't merge requirement 1 and 2 and use these headers. When you finish requirement 1, you go to requirement 2 and follow the same format. So the overall factors like the appendix and the report structure and style is also very important. The overall factors like the appendices and aligning them to the discursive element is very important. So in the area of professional tools, the area of your analytical skills, please reference the appendix, requirement 1 and 2. Any calculation you are discussing, any numbers you are discussing, please say C appendix in brackets, C appendix 1, C appendix 2. It makes your script very easy to mark, and most importantly, your marks very easy to earn. Very, very important. Very important. So your overall report style is also key, and that's graphically an example of the marking key. Okay, so do we have any questions so that we can run? We have 5 more units. Excuse me, it's almost 10. Excuse me. Okay, any questions so far? Thank you, Julie, for those interjections. They made a lot of sense. Any questions? Yeah. Any questions, Aisha, Rufiat? You guys are unusually quiet. I hope you've not slept off. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Thank you. All right, Aisha and Rufiat, please confirm you are still on the call because it's only Julie that is engaging. Are you guys still there? Yeah, I'm usually quiet. You're muted if you're speaking.
I think Rufiat has left.
Oh, okay. It's only Aisha on the call. I hope Aisha has not dozed off, or maybe she's struggling to unmute. Okay, so let's look at number 6 before we have. Okay, Aisha is unmuted now.
Yeah.
Aisha, did you doze off a bit? Did you doze off a bit?
Yeah. Sorry.
I guess as much. Because it's only Julie that was engaging. I guess as much. Pele.
Well, I get your emphasis on those 8 boxes, and then the 4 key ones, which is ethical issues, reserve, recommendation, conclusion, and which one?
Conclusions and recommendations, ethical issues. Those 3 are very, very important. Yes, yeah. Yes. Aside the other 5, the 3 are very important. Okay, that's good. At least you caught the most important point. Excellent. All right. So let's look at how are grades awarded? Unit 6. How are grades awarded? This is very important. So let's catch this. And this is what we are speaking to based on the headers and subheaders. So the competency assessment is based on 4 levels. Number 1, superior achievement. So under data and information, general business overview, analysis of financial information, whatever it is, any of those headers, please, you need to discuss 4 areas to achieve superior markings or marks. So you need minimum of 4. Sorry, or maximum. Let me say maximum of 4, because this shows that you understand the requirement in that header and it's evident in what you wrote and is very relevant. So superior achievement, at least 4. And that's what we speak to. So under data and information, like I said, you talk about revenue, you talk about cost of sales, talk about gross profit, talk about profit after tax, profit before tax. You see, you've spoken to 4. And in that discussion, you get 4 marks. So that's superior achievement. So if by way of exam tension, drought of ideas, you should go below 4, it should be 3. It means you understood the requirement with relevant evidence for some enough points. 3 of them. 3 of those points, and you've displayed competence achievement. So this is the minimum you should go in the exam. Superior should be the highest. Minimum, if whatever it is, maybe NEPA takes light in the hall, you do competent achievement. So below competence is displaying 2. 2 is too low. It shows you partially understand that header and it's less sufficient evidence. It's not sufficient appropriate evidence, like we used to say in audits. So 2 points are not sufficient appropriate evidence. They are not sufficient. Exactly. And this is a no-go area. 1 point. You have attempted to display the skill, but it's little and sparse. It's very, very, it's a no-go area. So don't display only 1 competence, only 1 point. This is a no-go area. Then this is bad. No evidence of understanding or skill demonstrated. You didn't write anything, any point. This is should be totally avoided. So these professional skills are interrelated. So weak data use leads to poor analysis. So some may write superior achievement 4 points, but those 4 points may not be commercially viable. So some suggest, okay, let's write 5 or 6. The examiner will pick the best 4. Well, on that, if the time is okay, if you've practiced and that works for you, good. Write 5 or 6 under each header. If 4 is the best, the examiner, you pick the best for you to mark. You pick the best 4. But whatever we are saying, don't have weak points. Make sure they are relevant and applicable to the case. Very important. So weak points are inadequate analysis, which hinders evaluation and judgment. Also, poor evaluation and judgment weakens conclusion. And the only way to sort it out is by practicing with past questions. You will know which points are weak and which points are strong or commercially viable for the exams. Also, weak points lead to weak conclusions, which undermine your reservation, skepticism, and also recommendation. So the overall paper grades assess your integrative and communication skills. Very important. So how you are able to integrate the numbers and align them with the discursive aspect. Your communication is key, and this is very important. So you need to consider your audience and the different requirements and the expectation of those who are writing the report to is important. And the communication guidelines, please avoid jargons, colloquialism. That's the use of simple language. Be professional in your words. Avoid casual or indiscreet comments, like you are writing a letter or something to a friend or somebody close to you. Be very, very official. Just like you do presentations, you talk to your boss. That is how you should communicate in the case study exams. Be succinct. That is, you're concise, not too much and not too little. Make sure what you're writing is relevant. Be tactful. Be skillful in how you're writing. Remember qualities of a good report we spoke to in writing a professional report. Also ensure your report answers the set of requirements provided. Don't just write based on what is in your mind or based on the past questions you saw. Please tailor what you are writing to the requirements in the case. Very important. So that is how grades are awarded based on the superior achievement, competent achievement, below competent achievement, and void. So superior, competent, below competent, and no competence and void. Those are the ways your grades are awarded. So how is numerical work awarded? The appendices, your calculations. So let's look at that. So calculations are always required to establish material facts. And that's why I tell students, if you don't have calculations, appendices, as low as the marks are there, you have automatically failed case study. Because whatever you write and summarize based on the executive summary was the basis. We need to see the basis. I used to say your numerical work or your appendices are the foundation on which you build your report. So if you don't have a foundation, you don't have a house. Even if you build the house on the ground, one day rain will fall and the whole blocks will fall down. So that is how the case study is. If you don't have calculations, you don't have a report. You don't have a discursive element, you don't have an executive summary, you don't have a cover page. So don't make that mistake to assume calculations in your brain and start writing. No. Perform the calculations to a reasonable extent to establish the material facts. This is very, very important. So marks awarded in the appendix for appropriate calculations and for appropriate numerical work are integrated into the made report. So spread them across those skill areas, especially the professional tools, analytical skills, challenges and considerations. Those three headers, please reference the appendix when you are spreading the calculations there. Speak to them and reference them very appropriately. So the appendix as a separate header comes first, but you number your pages and start your appendix. So for significant calculations, they should be relevant and concise. So you can't do all the ratios. There are profitability ratios that are not necessary. There are some that are necessary. So don't calculate irrelevant ratios or standard ratios that don't align with the case. So profitability ratios, we know we have over 9 of them, but there are about 4 very relevant ones you can calculate. So if you say talk about profitability or performance, pick those 4 relevant ones. Liquidity, 3 relevant ones. Activity, 3 relevant ones. And don't waste time. So for significant calculations, make sure you use the appropriate ratios or the performance or strategic management tools that are essential. Also clearly label your workings, explain them, make them easy to follow. And that's what we speak to aligning your discursive element and referencing them with the appendix. So make them labeled and make them easy to follow. So state your assumptions used. The assumption to contain any key information integrated into the report. State the assumption. Like somebody asked me on the platform, the assumption of a business life cycle, what does that mean? And I provided financial statements for her that speaks to a startup, a growing business, a matured business, a declining business, and a business going into extinction with the financial statement. So with those parameters and indicators, if you pick the financial statement, you should be able to assume where that company is in its business life cycle. So be able to integrate that into the report as you're speaking to the numbers. So the translation of the initial grades and the final marks, we have superior achievement, you have 4 points. Competent achievement, 3. Below competent achievement, 2. No display of competent achievement, only 1 point. Void, 0. And the maximum is 25 marks across executive summary down to the appendix and the overall report, and you have 100 you are being assessed by. So the pass mark is 50. I think this is easy to achieve if you put in the effort. So that's how the numerical work are rewarded. So do we have any questions? Unit 7. Okay. Okay. I believe it's clear.
None from me.
All right. That's good. So let's run 2 more units. What is an appropriate grade profile in the case study exam? What is an appropriate grade profile? So there are ranges of grade which varies by paper. So in the case study, you need to aim for 50, which is the pass mark, and don't go below competent achievement or superior achievement. So that's appropriate. Whatever points you are writing, please don't go below 3. Maximum 4. If you are doubtful of the potency of those points, please go above 4, 5 under each header and be very fast. So in each requirement, you need to ensure competent or superior achievement to be able to pass. So if you have 4 consistently, just know you have about 80 to 85. And it's easy to score that in the case study. The May diet, the lady that had the highest in May diet, 2024 May diet, the best graduating student, scored 91. And I used to say it, I listened to her interview when they asked her, how were you able to score 91 in case study? And she said, just follow the format. Follow the format. So please achieve superior achievement. 50 is easy, 60 is easy, 70, 80. So some of you have been scoring 100. Don't go and you won't even score 100, because the case study lecturer will not allow you. So in our tests,
How can one score 100 in night time? Hey.
The examiner will not even allow you. They will pin the question in a way you won't even score 100. So 80 is possible, 70. In our quiz question, there's a quiz after this now. I know both of you will score 100 because you are already waiting for me to deal with me after all the TS today. I know. So 80, 70, 60 is achievable. I also wrote and I scored 78. So if I can do it, you can do it. So please aim for competent achievement and superior achievement in each requirement for you to be able to pass. So applying also your previous knowledge, you need to understand how to integrate CR, ATAX, SFM most importantly, and also AAA. There are some questions like there's a question we did on one bank. Which bank question is that? You could see he tested CR, IFRS 16. He tested tax. He also tested SFM. He asked us to use MPV and some other models. So your previous knowledge of the other papers will bring to bear actually in the case study, especially in doing your computations and calculations. So don't throw away those knowledge. They help you maintain good technical grounding, and this is very essential for providing professional skills and business knowledge. So understand the business life cycle stage. You can see what I just spoke to, and this is the examiner study text, the business life cycle. That example I provided for that lady that asked the question, understand it, and it could make you provide reasonable assumptions. So the business life cycle is key. It's crucial for appropriate framework in discussions of business, financial strategy, or transformation. So identify the stage that it has a persuasive impact on your analysis. Very important. So the business life cycle, the business could be at the startup, growing, maturing, declining, or extinction. So any of these could be assumed in this case scenario. So understand your role. So typically, you are either a final year student in professional practice or a company employed or on secondment as maybe an audit trainee. So you see most of the cases, they say you are a professional student of the ICAN writing the professional paper case study. So that's your role. You wear the hat of a professional student doing IT or learning under a practice firm. So your role provides the appropriate perspective for what you will write, and that provides your output and your report. So please understand your role and take up that role in the exam. So the report structure and the communication skills, you need to understand the external report and the internal report. By now, we've known that. So the external report speaks to a client or employer with 2 main sections where you need to integrate the requirements and the analysis together and evaluate them appropriately. So the appendix are detailed analysis and they are rewarded separately based on the integration with the discursive elements. And your executive summary also must be provided after you discuss essentially. So that is how the appropriate grade profile is provided. Okay, so any question on that? so that we'll run through the last 2 units. We've taken some time. All right. So very importantly, quality versus quantity. Unit 9. So how much should you write? How well should you write? Now, passing depends on what you write, not how much. We need to be very, very emphatic about it. It depends on what you write, the content, the facts provided. So if you do 50 pages and they are trash, you won't earn the marks. You could do 20, 15 pages and what you wrote is materially relevant. So the quantity does not matter. But then also, if you have something reliable and relevant, it needs to have some level of quantity. But then quality is very, very important, depending on what you wrote. I was telling Julie of somebody that wrote 38 pages. And when I marked it, I didn't really find a lot of content, even though in my view, the person reached about 50, 55. But then 38 pages is much. Under exam condition, I don't think, though mock, you could do that, but 38 pages is much. I think max 30 pages, 25 pages should do. Matter your handwriting since it's a handwritten exam. But then we are emphasizing quality and not quantity. Very important. Don't be too much is too much and too little is too little. Just balance and make sure you communicate your thoughts with good, appropriate quality. So aim for relevant content. Voluminous scripts often padded with irrelevant material. You can see the examiner is saying leads to time management issues. Exactly. So aim for the relevant content, pick the key points. You have over, let's say 13 to 16 appendices. That's enough data. So sever the chaff from the wheat and bring out the wheat. It's very important because the more you write, the more you waste time and write rubbish. So take note, write rubbish in quotes anyway. So take note and make sure what you are writing is quality. So quality versus quantity, what we are saying is quality of facts, very important. So finally, the last unit, we're looking at examination focus. What is the examination focus in the assessment procedure? So to be successful, please read the requirements carefully and answer all aspects requested, only what is asked for, not in your head. So you see requirements, mostly the examiner will say requirement 1, 2, 3. No, they are not 3 requirements. The third requirement or the third number should be integrated to the second one. So the first requirement is requirement 1, then 2 and 3, like in the last diet and a diet before. Some people say it is now becoming 3 requirements. No, there are 2 requirements. He just made a baby out of the second one. That's all. And he wants you to concentrate and respond to what he's saying separately, but within the context of your discussion. So you need to read carefully and answer what you are requested to answer. Only what is asked, not other assumptions in your head. This will make you very, very successful. Assess financial data to identify appropriate analytical tools. So the ratio and the financial data, financial statements provided to you, the requirements will tell you what ratios to use, what models to use, what strategic or performance management tool to use. Assess the financial data, even if you are not expressly said, use NPV. Once you see high-low method, assess the business project proposal. You should know that you need to use any of those tools to calculate what is provided, especially in requirement 2. So assess the financial data, read them line by line. And that's why you have 1 hour reading time to be able to know the appropriate tools to use to discuss what is in the case. Also use tools for detailed calculation in the appendices. Label and explain all appendix calculations appropriately. So if requirement 1 is appendix 1 and there are other things you are doing as requirement 2, make sure you label your appendix. So the main header in your calculation is appendices, APPENDICS. So appendix 1 is APPDIX1, financial ratios. Appendix 2, models. Appendix 3, project calculations, NPV, high-low method, whatever it is. Make sure you label your appendices appropriately. Very important. Bring the key appendix information into the report. I can't overemphasize that. So the financial ratios, you're speaking to return on equity. Return on equity for year 2 is 5%. It grew to 10% in year 3. It grew to 15% in year 4. See Appendix 1. Exactly. So bring the key appendix information into your report and reference them. Also analyze information logically and explain the analysis. So when you analyze them, you explain the analysis is very key. Also explain initial analysis and identify critical factors. So from each headers and whatever header you are appropriately using, do your initial analysis and speak to critical factors. This is key. Very importantly, apply professional skepticism, ethical issues, evaluate the information, the quality, and the expertise. Very important. Also consider information provenance, which speaks to your provider and the creation purpose. What does that mean? So the information that was given to you in the exhibit, what is the purpose of that? And how do you use it to write your report? So there are some information like the background. You could use it to, in that background section, to pick 1 mark. If you also align the information that is not there in the case as limitation of scope, you could state them. So you need to consider what relevant information to use appropriately in those report formats to pick your marks. And every information is provided for a purpose, for your understanding whether to write the report or not. Explain critically and evaluate your assumptions and apply your judgment. You need to think it through, apply what you think. Your thoughts should be penned down very, very comprehensively. Use sensitivity analysis to flex critical numbers, especially in Appendix Requirement 2. There are a lot of hurdles in Requirement 2. It's always pepperish, so you need to sensitively look at that. Apply sensitivity analysis, flex the numbers to the best of your knowledge. Don't waste time. Have a base, the foundation of what to write. So please attempt Requirement 2. There may not be time, but then as you are practicing mock exam 3, mock exam 4, please attempt Requirement 2. Very important. Then you make your decision and provide very important conclusions under a header. You see what he's saying? The examiner say under a header. So present practical and commercial implementable recommendation. That one too under a header. This cannot be overemphasized. Very, very important. So that's the examination focus. And I believe with this understanding of the exam, with the assessment procedures, you'll be able to take the gun and shoot, aim and shoot and hit your target. Very important. So any question, that will be the end. Let's look at the quiz. And I hope you guys will not be stingy to bully me.
Too.
Yes, so yes, quiz. I know yesterday was not good, but today people should not try it. Is Julie there? Julie, are you there? I hope you didn't doze off a bit. You are usually quiet. Julie, or is her network? Hello, Julie. You are muted. Okay, no, she's not muted. Julie, are you there? Maybe she dozed off a bit. Okay, so let's look at our quiz. Since Aisha is awake, the quiz question number 1. Let's see if you understood the assessment procedure. What is the maximum total score obtainable in the ICAN case study exam based on the 25 skill boxes? A, 50, B, 75, C, 100, D, 120. Okay. Are you sure it's 100? Are you sure it's not 50?
Well.
Okay, we'll see on Judgment Day now. You said 100. All right, C. Just hope you don't score 100, Sha. Which of the following statements best describe a superior achievement grade? Partial understanding with evidence for at least 2 criteria. B, relevant evidence for most criteria, at least 4, and full understanding of the requirement. C, sparse or little evidence provided. D, no evidence of understanding demonstrated. Which of the following statements best describe a superior achievement grade? Are you there, A?
B.
Okay, final answer.
Yes, final answer.
Okay. Number 3, in the ICAN case study, how many executive summary assessment boxes are used to assess the summary of the report? A, 2, B, 5, C, 8, D, 4.
5.
B, final answer.
Yes.
B, okay. But 4, which of the following is not a guideline for effective communication in the report? A, avoid using technical jargon. B, use casual phrases and informal tone.
No.
C, be tactful and succinct. D, be professional and avoid indiscreet comments. Which of the following is not? Is not. What?
Use casual phrases and informal tone.
Okay, it's not a guideline for effective communication in the
That's
report.
not a guideline. Yeah.
Okay, B. All right. C on Judgment Day. And finally, what rule does the case study expect students to adopt when writing the report? A, a fresh graduate looking for employment. B, an external investor evaluating a business. C, a final year student working in a professional practice or on secondment. D, a tax consultant giving advisory services. What rule does the case study expect? Okay, final answer. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Why is it not a fresh graduate looking for employment?
Why did you guys use it? See me, I slept off. Can you imagine? Chai.
I guess as much because I was saying, Julie, you didn't. So we'll have to go back to. So, what's your pick? So that we'll go back.
C.
Julie will do her.
C.
Okay,
C.
Oh,
C.
you're picking C for number 5. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank God we have not seen the answer. So let me run back so that Julie can start. Okay,
So you're calling me, I did not answer. Hey.
No, you didn't hear. We are saying Julie, we say maybe she dozed off. We understand. But did not be firewood, Pele.
Honestly, you can say that again.
Pele. All right, so number 1, what is the maximum total score obtainable in the ICAN case study exam based on the 25 skill boxes? A, 50, B, 75, C, 100, D, 120.
C now.
Are you sure it's not 50?
How can it be 50?
He said, what is the maximum total score obtainable in the ICAN case study exam based on the 25 skill boxes?
So the 25 skill boxes.
Are you sure it's 50? It's 100?
It's 100.
Okay. We'll see on Judgment Day. Number 2, which of the following statements best describes a superior achievement grade? A, partial understanding with evidence for at least 2 criteria. B, relevant evidence for most criteria, at least 4, and full understanding of the requirement. C, sparse or little evidence provided. D, no evidence of understanding demonstrated. Which of the following statement best describes a superior achievement grade? B?
Yeah.
B or A? Why are you laughing? I'm just asking. I'm asking. All right.
B for ball.
B for ball. Okay, I hear you.
B for ball, exactly, to be clear.
I hear you. People should not score 100. In the case study exam or in the ICAN case study, how many executive summary assessment boxes are used to assess the summary of the report? A, 2, B, 5, C, 8, D, 4.
5.
Are you sure? Final answer, 5. Are you sure it's not 8?
B for ball.
Right. I'm just helping, I'm trying to be a good Samaritan, but then you have picked 5 now. Number 4, which of the following is not a guideline for effective communication in the report? It's not, though. A, avoid using technical jargon. B, use casual phrases and informal tone. C, be tactful and succinct. D, be professional and avoid indiscreet comments. Which of the following is not a guideline for effective communication?
B.
B, use casual phrases and informal tone. Is not. Okay. B. Final answer.
B, yeah.
Okay. Number 5. What rule? Okay, you've answered this one. Yeah, she has answered
I've answered
this
that one, yes.
Okay, you said C or B?
You said C.
I said C. C.
Okay. If I'm a student. All right, let's see. So let's go to Judgment Day now. Drum roll. Okay, number 1, C. What is the maximum total score obtainable in the ICAN case study exams? based on the 25 skill boxes. So this confidence today no be here. Yesterday it was not like this. So they were quiet yesterday during AAA, but now everybody is answering with confidence. Okay, explanation.
Sorry, let me interrupt you a bit. It's off what we're doing. I saw you sent a link to the AA group, and you said it's a combination of all the videos.
Okay, a link. Is it a link or a document?
Is it a document? Hope it's not a video.
Yeah.
It's not video.
No.
Document, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Aisha, what did I send? Okay, let Aisha answer that because even me, I'm confused. Aisha, please go ahead.
It's a document with a link, yes.
Oh, okay.
But for the link is for chapter 10.
Oh, okay. The one I did today. Okay, so it was yesterday's lecture, chapter 9, which is evaluation and review. Then
this chapter 10.
Yeah, there's chapter 10 too.
Yes, that's group audits. Yes, the one we did yesterday. Yes, chapter 10.
Okay.
Yes, that's
because
570.
Okay, it's all right. It's okay. I get. It's fine.
Okay.
Thank God for that. That thing that I missed called from network. All right.
Yes, you get back to it. That's true. Okay, so the explanation for question 1 is each of the 25 skill assessment boxes is graded on a scale of 0 to 4. Superior achievement earns 4 marks. So 25 boxes stands for 100 total marks. Okay, you guys really caught that. Number 2, which of the following statement best describes superior achievement? B. Wow, both of them got it. B. You guys are hard for me today. B means relevant evidence for most criteria, at least 4, and full understanding of the requirement. Okay. Superior achievement grades means the candidate has shown clear.
I think that superior achievement to yes. I was listening to the previous class too. You also said that while I was
writing the professional report video, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Clear, accurate understanding and meet at least 4 criteria effectively. All right. You guys should do give away today. Don't do this to me. Number 3, in the ICAN case study, how many executive summary assessment boxes are used to assess the summary of the report? B. 5. Explanation. The executive summary is evaluated using 5 distinct assessment boxes. This assessment assesses how well the summary reflects the requirements and integrates analysis. B. They both got it. Hey, these people are serious today. Which of the following is not a guideline for effective communication in the report? Correct answer B. Hey, use casual phrases and informal tone.
Number 5.
Effective. I can't even allow me to read. Effective communication in the professional report must avoid informal or casual language. It should be clear, professional, and to the point. Wow. And they were sleeping. Finally, hey, what role does the case study expert expect students to adopt when the final year student working in? So you people slept with yesterday's AAA. That's why you now decide not to give me anything today.
Let us reflect in our exam.
G 100%.
Let you reflect in our exam. So, oh God, have mercy.
Don't score 100%. I can will call you people to come and rewrite the paper. 80% is okay.
They should call us.
Don't worry. Tomorrow is case study 2. We are looking at the last 2 chapters. So case tomorrow,